Coming to you live from an alternate universe, it's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and this will be a spoiler-filled look at a Marvel film. So go complain to another variant of our podcast if we ruin anything for you on this film. You know what it is now because you've clicked on it, so you've seen what film it's going to be. So we will be spoiling that film, so watch it first and then come and see us afterwards. With me, falling through a star-shaped portal to God knows where, is the only person with me, no Chris with us. He's the greatest threat to our universe. It's Andy.
I would say that. That's definitely true.
What was it? Why is it when you break the rules, you're a hero? And
exactly. Mind you, I'd rather be a Thanos type than a Scarlet Witch type. But hey,
right. Okay.
Can't win them all.
We're the 10 Point Podcast. We are doing something a little bit different because we have points to make about a certain new film that Andy and I saw at a similar time. Normally, Andy sees it immediately and I'm like a week later, so we're kind of near each other, so we thought we'd talk about it especially. And the third fella hasn't seen it yet, so we don't want to ruin it for him, so we're doing it away.
What's there to go to the cinema?
Yes, exactly. So
cost of living crisis.
Yeah, so we're keeping him nice and quiet and we don't spoil it for him. We are the 10 Point Podcast, 10pointpodcast.com for all your 10 Point Podcast stuff. You'll find all our podcasts there, our email address, links to our YouTube page where you can see video versions of everything like that. And all that. If you've listened to any one of our podcasts, you'll know all about the info. So immediately, I'm going to go on to what's the point. Normally, that's point number one on the 10 Point Podcast. There's not 10 points on this podcast, but what's the point? The point of this podcast is the 2022. I don't know how to say that before. 2022 action adventure sci-fi fantasy horror. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It was upon doing my research that I found it was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and not and the Multiverse. I always thought it was and. So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Brought to us by Marvel Studios. Written by Michael Waldron, who was the guy who did Loki, the TV series that they actually took away from Loki to fix this when the original guy and director and all that kind of had a difference of opinion making Doctor Strange. So he was on, he's mainly did the Loki thing. Directed by, in the end, Sam Raimi, famous for The Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, and the Spider-Man trilogy of the very early 2000s. Starring as Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch is back for about the 20th film of being Doctor Strange, and starring as the Scarlet Witch, I've put rather than as Wanda. We've got Elizabeth Olsen, because she's quite clearly mainly the Scarlet Witch in this film. I could find a budget of $200 million to make Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It opened a couple of weeks ago, last week, in the US, $187.5 million its first week. Currently, it's taken in $213 million in America. Worldwide, currently standing at $508 million. So it's already
movies.
I know, more than double its budget is Marvel.
Currency, I'm going to make some Marvel movies.
Marvel movies is where the profit is, certainly. It was released on the 5th of May 2022, a day here and there in other countries. So we are, as the time of recording, about a week after it came out. Synopsis for it. Nick did not get to me in time. So I've got the only synopsis on IMDb. Now, Andy, listen to the only synopsis on IMDb. And is this the film that you and I saw? Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens the doorway to the multiverse, including alternate versions of himself, whose threat to humanity is too great for the combined forces of Strange, Wong, and Wanda Maximoff. And I've just got, this isn't what happened in the film written after it.
That's all. Somebody definitely watched the pirated version from China, I reckon.
Yeah, I believe that's what we were led to think this film was going into it. Which version did we watch? Now, normally I wouldn't have added this, but I saw on the super screen that I always go to. Andy, did you see any bells or whistles? Did you see a standard sort of film?
Bog standard.
The bog standard. So yeah, I don't think there's any other alternate versions out there. There's anything different in anything like that. I've not found any countries having a different version outside of, I think there was somewhere in the Middle East they requested some changes, but I'm not sure what they were yet. On to what is normally point 2 on the podcast then is the high points. I've set this this podcast is pretty much the 3-point podcast. We've got high points and low points. So we'll start with the high points, but I absolutely expect us to cross-examine this film here. So
that's why I did this podcast, because it's all over the shop.
Exactly. So why don't you lead off?
The multiverse.
You lead off, Andy, with something that you may consider a high point, or start wherever you like.
Right. Sneak preview, or if you go and listen to our last week's podcast where I did give a sneaky peek on my thoughts on this film, was just the Marvel logo. Like I said, it just comes up and it's just Marvel. There's no Sony, there's no bullshit after. It's just Marvel. You're like, all right, this could be good. And then that's my first high point.
It's just Marvel. Nobody else got it.
I was like, yep, strap in, right? Just Marvel. Nobody's getting involved in this. They can't fuck this up.
It's also been a while since we've had one of the Marvel films where the Marvel logo just played. Like, it wasn't a different song, or there wasn't somebody talking over it, or there wasn't. It was just like, here's the Marvel thing, and then you're into it. And I mean, you're into it. Like, it goes straight into the first scene. So
and like the first bit, it starts off strong. It's like, I'll tell you what, it's graphic. It's like straight away. It's like I'm watching the Army of the Darkness by accident, because this is graphic. Like eyeballs getting pulled out. It's like, what the hell am I watching here?
There's definitely a different tone to it. I have heard some people on the internet saying, "Oh, Marvel have done horror. They really pushed the limits of PG-13, or whatever you want to call it in America." It's like, I never felt like it was stretching anything too far. I wasn't like, "Oh my god, this is repulsive," or anything like that. But I did enjoy the different feel about it. It felt different.
Well, I see. I'm kind of on the fence with that. I'm with them. Like it was terrifying, which we'll get into. Like it is. There's bits that are just shit scary.
There's a couple
of full-on jump scares. There's gore. There's literally just massacre. Which all the way when I'm watching this, I'm going, it's not Doctor Strange. However, Disney could do Deadpool. I was thinking. I was like, wait there. This is Deadpool. Like they could do it.
It's a step further, and I enjoyed that they. Like, I've got in my notes here that I think it's probably the best, in my eyes, how I felt watching it, the best directed Marvel film. As in, I felt like there was a director doing it. Every other Marvel film pretty much just has the same feeling, the same tone, it looks the same. But this one, you could just tell the camera was doing different things, and the different ideas about what they wanted to achieve with it. So I'm assuming that's Sam Raimi. I'm not a Sam Raimi fanboy at all. I wasn't a massive fan of the Spider-Man films, and I've not seen any Evil Dead films. I'll hold my hand up and say I've not seen any.
That's probably where you probably haven't got spoiled, because most of my low points are actually Evil Dead references here.
Yeah, I got Bruce Campbell. I got that reference when he was in it. But and I enjoyed his cameo. He was good in it. There's a lot of this film has been everywhere, and I listen to a lot of podcasts myself. So therefore, pretty much every podcast I listen to has had some opinion on this film in the last week. There's a lot of green screen hate about this film. About
think it worked.
Not that it was overused, just that it looked bad. And I'm like, I did not feel that at all. I think
there was a couple. Like, I must admit, there was a couple, but like, when it's like action scenes, they're flawless, like Marvel does. However, because there's slow bits in this, it did look bad. I'll admit that bit.
Okay.
But yeah, there was like the scene behind you. That's where it kind of stood out when it's slow, but when it's going full on, it's like, yeah, it works.
I very much enjoyed how it looked. I'll whack through my kind of high points that I've got here. I very much enjoyed evil Elizabeth Olsen. Now, I became enamored with Elizabeth Olsen during WandaVision. I think I enjoyed WandaVision more than the average person did, but I thought she did really well at playing evil. Besides what that does for her character, which I will come to in the low points, but I thought she stood out, and I thought that she was given something more fun to do, I think, than she has in the other movies. WandaVision was something else altogether, where she got to do a bit of everything, but I quite enjoyed her. Her story arc, on the other hand, is not quite that. But Elizabeth Olsen, for me, mainly the bit at the beginning in the orchard where you don't really know where she stands, and that scene that
was the bit I was really like, all right, I'm getting this. However, as soon as that bit happened, which is fairly early on in the film,
like what, 15 minutes?
My brain had one of these, these like slow motions where you flick back through everything in your head. I'm like, I know exactly how this film ends, because I've seen the trailer of her, and I was like, she's going to talk to herself, and then literally when she jumps a little bit further and forward when she's with her kids, I'm like, right, I know exactly how this film ends now. And it's like that actually did annoy me, because my brain works like stupid mysterious ways like that.
It is strange going to, like, I've applauded Marvel in the past for putting out trailers that kind of hide what's in the film. We'll do this, and it turns out that doesn't happen, because like the one that jumps out to me immediately was, I always remember seeing Incredible Hulk in the trailer for Infinity War, but the Incredible Hulk is in the first scene of Infinity War and is not in it again. So obviously he's in the Hulkbuster suit and all that. And then infamously last year with Spider-Man, there was the one shot with Peter Parker flying towards 3 villains on his own, which you're like, okay, well, there's a space there and a space there. And there's other trailers coming that have come out about feature films that's something similar, but this one actually sells you on a different film, as in it. Like you said, it must be within the first 15-20 minutes we find out, okay, Wanda's actually going that direction, she's evil. and she's going to be the baddie in this film, and it's like that is not the film we were expecting, for better or for worse. So I don't really know.
Well, like everything in it is good, and this is where the problem with this film lies. It's like acting's good, it's solid, the cameos are good. They're like everything is good about it, and then it starts being not good, and I don't know how to explain it. It's so weird. This film, like you asked me last week, give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. I still can't.
I still can't either. I definitely enjoyed my time there. Like 2 hours flew by. It's basically a 2-hour chase, whether it's them chasing after Wanda to stop her, or Wanda chasing after them to start going again, to get whatever they took off of her. It's just there are slower bits, like you say, but the whole thing, somebody's after somebody the entire time, and someone's trying to get away. So it goes at a breakneck pace. But yeah, there's problems with it. For me, the problems are the greater overall of MCU as it stands. So another high point I've got. I talk about 20. There's about a 20-minute portion in the middle, the Illuminati universe portion of the film. While has pretty much very little the way implications going forward, because Black Widow, Wanda just massacres everybody who's there. It's a great, like, that is what I will remember this film for, is that period. That's the one where they lock up Doctor Strange and they find out about universes, and then there's the amazing Illuminati. Now, obviously, John Krasinski filming on his own away from everybody else and not having anyone to act off of really affected his performance.
Yes.
And he doesn't feel like he even knew he was in a Marvel film, never mind knew what he was doing to the best of his abilities. But that I enjoyed introducing everybody. See Professor X. Obviously, we knew he was coming. He was in the trailer, but it still made me feel excited. The big problem I have with that reveal of the Illuminati scene is I was just so buzzing about actually seeing Professor X and Mr. Fantastic and all that sort of stuff that I actually wasn't listening to what they were saying. And I got completely lost, and all of a sudden they were on this planet, and Doctor Strange is getting his head blown away by Black Bolt, who I don't really know very well, to be honest. I never watched it.
Yeah, that's Anson Mount, who was in
the series. Yeah.
So like that series was awful. So they tried to give him, obviously, like, did the dirty when you gave that series.
Yeah.
Want to be in a film now.
Yeah, and they gave him that, so you got this big scene where he's like, okay, and then he has the best death I think I've seen in the MCU so far.
Yes,
if this counted for the point, his best death is definitely Black Bolt from this. But yeah, that chunk of the film, I will definitely, if it flickers through the channels and it's on, I will leave that bit on again to watch this.
Yeah, I liked it, but also it's going to lead on to a low point on that bit as well. But yeah, I did like it, but there's a low point coming.
Cool. I'll hit my last high point I've got in is I don't know why. Like, I don't know why this happened the way it did, but the music fight is very good.
Danny Elf knocked out of the park.
Yeah, it is an insane fight scene, and it is perfectly scored and musical and visual and everything like this, and it's brilliant. But I don't know why Doctor Strange decided to fight with music.
that is literally just Danny Elfman fan wank right there. And it's done well, but it's just like, but why with musical notes?
Yeah, why? You could, like, you are the most powerful wizard ever. You could do any spells ever, and you're fighting against yourself. You could also do every spells ever. Let's fight with music notes, and it's like, it's great. But I think that pretty much sums up my opinion in the film. It's good, but I don't know why it's happening or how it is good. It's kind of like that. But that's me for high points that I want to mention.
I'm pretty much the same. Like I said, it's all there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
However, low points could strip some of these to bits.
Okay, you lead off then on low points.
Right. So one of my biggest low points, like I kind of said before, is it's Sam Raimi. I love Evil Dead. There was way too much Evil Dead like throwbacks to this.
Right.
So I am the biggest Bruce Campbell fan in the world. However, his whole character just actually annoyed me because that scene, like the curse that he uses, is a curse that's in Evil Dead.
Right, okay, yeah.
It's exactly the same curse in Evil Dead Army of Darkness, where it's like a 3-week spell where like his hand just attacks him and stuff like that.
Idle hand style.
Yeah, and obviously you got the very, very end trailer credits, which is just like you wait for, and it's just like, oh god. Yeah. And it's one of them things. It's like everybody wants to see him as Mysterio. They should have done it.
Ah, okay. I was unaware of that fan desire to see that one.
Well, because he was technically the Mysterio in the original Spider-Man.
Right. Ah, okay.
His little character, he's a magician, which he should have later became Mysterio.
Ah.
So that's what everybody thought. All right, they're finally going to let him be Mysterio as proper. Because I think it's not called Mysterio in the original Spider-Man. It's like something the mid thingy Mysterio. Like it's a middle name that he's put,
right.
like a stage name. So that's who he becomes. But yeah, they just gave him a hot dog seller instead.
Yeah.
But then the biggest one that actually, like, the visual looks stunning, which is the little ghosties when he resurrects himself from hell.
Yeah.
Zombie Strange.
Mm-hmm.
But those sound exactly like the creatures from Army of Dead as well. It's like Evil Dead monster noises, and it's like when they're cackling. It's like, I'm just watching Evil Dead right now, and it took me out of Doctor Strange again. It's like, wait there, it's Evil Dead.
It's one of
my biggest faults.
Right, too much Evil Dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, talking of taking you out of things, I've got pretty much my main low points. This film undoes WandaVision.
Yeah.
WandaVision is a 8-episode, maybe 10-episode, however long it is, arc where Wanda is like completely destroyed and she goes through all the stages of grief, gets over Vision, and then is fine. And then the very last scene, she's off in the middle of nowhere and she's reading from this witch's book and she's going to be the Scarlet Witch and all that. And then we meet her, one scene in, I'm like the damn devil again, and I'm just going to try and do whatever I can and just wipe it. It's like, you were evil technically evil at the beginning of WandaVision, and there's no, it doesn't connect. Like, she got corrupted by the evil book or whatever. It's like, well, why sit us through so many hours of WandaVision just for her to just regress back to the beginning again?
And also, like, I get it, she's corrupted, and this is how every fan will email in and moan at us about it. However, all through WandaVision, even in Avengers Endgame and stuff like that, Vision is her ultimate goal. Vision gets killed. Thanos rips the stone out of her head. She goes a little bit mental, helps him, like she's pretty much like one of the most powerful ones there, but still not so pissed off with Thanos for killing her one and only true love. Like, Captain Marvel's still way more powerful, like, with ease. So Wanda's still just flying around with little reds. But then suddenly, she doesn't give a shit about that, but it's all my kids that she made up.
That she made up and had like a week with?
Yeah.
Maybe, tops. And it's the case of, I could be wrong, but I think Vision is only mentioned at the very beginning of the film where he had some theories on the multiverse.
Yep.
And then that is it. He never comes up again. I thought, at some point we're going to pop into some universe and Wanda will be happily and Vision will be there. Nope. No.
Yeah, she got over him fast.
Yeah.
Like, fuck Vision. I care about my kids now. That's
care about my kids.
She could have even had everything. She could have had Vision and the kids in one universe. Surely.
Yeah. Surely somewhere should have gone to that one. Yeah. It was weird that she seemed focused on this one universe where he wasn't present either. It's like, it made no sense to me. Right, okay, more low points. The Multiverse of Madness. 3 universes we got.
Yep, big time. Like, that annoyed the hell out of me. I was like, because I thought, all right, we got the Illuminati. I was like, all right, okay. Tom Cruise is not here. I want to see Tom Cruise as Iron Man. I was promised.
I was never interested in that.
I was like, even just a glimpse of just something. It's like, all right, and it's like, they could have done anything. I was waiting for just a little adamantium claw, just a glimpse, just anything. They had all the potential. This was meant to be the film where 99% of my theories of all came true, and they just decided, fuck that.
Yeah, it didn't seem like enough. And they're like, they fell through like 20 different universes, and you're like, what's that one? What's that one? It's like you don't. There literally isn't enough time for your eyeballs to react to each one of these universes. Like, if you're going to do it at all, do it so we can look at it and at least be, there's a paint universe which they mentioned. But other ones, I couldn't actually see what the difference was in all these universes because they fell so quickly through it all.
Yeah.
I'll go on. That takes me on to multiversal confusion. We've had WandaVision, which kind of dealt with this. We've had Loki, which specifically dealt with this. We've had Spider-Man that dealt with multiverses. We've had this that deals with multiverses. I don't understand multiverses.
Well, see, I was pretty up there. Like, I was like, right, I am down with the multiverse. I know where they're going to go with this. Then they brought out What's If, the cartoon series, which is trying to ease people in. I was like, okay. And then Spider-Man, that works. Loki, that was like, they're all adding up. And then it's like, right, we all know they're going to go to Kang, the Conqueror. He's going to be coming into it. And then this film undoes all of that and makes no sense at all now. It is like, it's completely a different film.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
Every other film or TV show that mentions multiverses talks about how it is important that we do not mess up universes, and every single one of them, they mess up universes, but seems like no consequences. Like, apparently Kevin Feige's tried to explain away this is all happening because of what happened in the finale to Loki, because of what Sylvie did in the finale. all of this weird multiverse stuff is happening.
Yep.
But that's a guy on an interview somewhere. That's not presented in the films. Like, we don't know. There's no line through all of this telling us. It's what Marvel does best, is connecting everything together. They are not connected together, and it makes me more and more confused.
And the biggest thing, this is my biggest pet peeve on this film. Right. So, you've got Doctor Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, one universe. You've got Doctor Strange in another universe, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. You've got Doctor Strange in another universe, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. Okay? So Doctor Strange across multiple universes,
At least 3, probably 4, yeah.
is the same person. You go to another one, suddenly they've all changed characters. Like, it actually annoys me. Like, I know technically, like, Captain Marvel is she's now somebody else. She's the other woman.
The other one, yeah. It took me too long to realise that. I had no idea who it was.
Yeah, she's the other person. However, that's not how the multiverse in theory should work. Like, surely Captain Marvel should be played by Brie Larson. This seems to be there's different variations, which, okay, I'm down with. However, Doctor Strange stays Doctor Strange in every single universe.
Yeah. We've yet to come across
Captain Marvel, Captain Britain, they all change.
Yeah.
Except from Black Bolt, who Black Bolt in this universe is Anson Mount, but then in our TV show, in the Inhumans, is also Anson Mount.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing then? Are you changing characters? Are you changing roles? It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It really took me out of the film.
They have kind of confused everybody.
The multiverse, yes.
A small low point. I'm just personally not especially high on the magic side of the MCU. Like, when it comes to kick punch, who is stronger than the other one, I can deal with that. When the god stuff is like, okay, I'm a bit iffy on that with your Moon Knights and your Thors and the god magic. But when it comes to full-on magic, are there limitations? And I don't know what the limitations are, if there are limitations. Like, why can't they just magically stop all of the universes doing whatever they like? It's like, if you're going to do magic, yeah, again, it's rules. They haven't set out, I need a Marvel rule book, and that's what movies shouldn't be, needing rule books. Okay, one final thing on the film, and then another overarching. High point, him walking out of his house, and the film ending with him having an eyeball on his forehead. I was like, oh, that's a great tease for the end of the film. What the hell is going to happen next? Yep. Fast forward 30 seconds of credits. Oh, here's another day, just walking down the street fine. And then here's Charlize Theron in front of a green screen, out of nowhere. So quick. I don't know who she is, what she's talking about. She makes a gap. And I'm like, is this a parody? Is this actually happening? Is this a joke one? And then and then he's like, oh, yeah, I'm all jokey. I'll put my cape on.
I got, I came out the cinema going, that was Charlize Theron, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was like, that was Dormammu's. Like, that's all I picked up. That was Dormammu's world. That was all I knew. And I was like, I literally had to go and research, going, that's who she is. Right, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, well, again, you don't want someone to go, ha, I am.
No, you don't.
What it is. But
yeah, clear, yeah.
I want a bit more than that. Yeah. More than, like, that feels like it was 20 seconds worth of a scene. And it is just shoehorned, like, sellotaped on at the end. And it completely ruins the previous, like, the actual last scene of the film is ruined by this sellotaped on scene at the end of the film. And I think a main reason for this is my major final thing. I believe, I could be wrong, I think this is the last one of the Marvel COVID era where COVID has just completely screwed up everything for them. Because like, Multiverse of Madness was actually supposed to come out before even WandaVision came out. And then it was supposed to come out before Spider-Man. And all these other things have had to move around. They've had to remake. And I think COVID made it nonsensical. And I think that is a major problem that they've had to... They want to do multiverse stuff, but they've had to put, I don't know, 3 of the 5 major items in the multiverse
to set you up for the multiverse.
Yeah, all out of order, making it even more confusing, something that's already confusing. So I hope that's the end. I think Miss Marvel is next, maybe. Like her TV show, which I think no one's going to particularly care about, unfortunately. I don't think it's going to be the biggest interest one. But then after that, I think we might get our self going.
Also, I do like how we got through this entire podcast without mentioning America once, because that name annoyed the hell out of me. Because it was just every time she said it, I was just like, "Fuck yeah!" Like America. fuck yeah.
Well, for
Just
me, it's
like-
Captain America is Captain America. So if you start using the like America in a Marvel movie, I just think of Captain America straight away. So it's like
I was just like, every time I was like, did I catch that name right? It's like, I'm pretty sure they said America. And I was just carrying on watching. It's like, then it's like, because Cumberbatch just says it weird. Like, he's not saying America. He says America. I was like, what is her name? It's like, is it America? I was like, I'm pretty sure you're meant to be Miss America at some stage, but I don't know if you're saying America or America. You okay? It's like, shut up. Just say your name properly.
we haven't mentioned her, and you're right. And the movie also didn't too. It was like, first scene of the film, she's in it. Second scene of the film, we find her again. Third scene of the film, she explains who she is and what she can do, and Doctor Strange is like, okay then, that's fine. So, and then they just go on with it. It's like no question, like no real deep. Why can you go through multiverses? Why did we only just find out multiverses, and you're the only one of yourself across all? Like, I felt like there was no investigation of who she was and why this entire time.
It's like you've done multiverses before, Cumberbatch. You know what this is.
It's like, I think they've been screwed by COVID. And that's it for highs and lows for me, I think.
I'm the same.
We could talk for another hour, I imagine. On to what would normally be the final points, the 10-point rating. I didn't actually check with Andy if you wanted to do a 10-point rating, but I've got one written down. Do you want to lead off and review it first, and I'll give a score afterwards?
All right. I said, I have no idea where this film is, what it is, what it's trying to be. I wanted it to be way bigger and better. I wanted it to give me branches and go, it could be that, or it could be that. They put the multiverse, which is way out here, and just kind of went and put it into a point. I didn't like that. So I'm only going to give this a 4.
4 from Andy.
Yeah, like it is 4 for me.
I think I am exactly the same as you, except I have landed on heads rather than tails, I think, for mine. So 2 hours flies by. Like, it is, like, I think every time I watch a film, at one point or another, I'm like, I'll check what time it is, just see how long we've got left. This one, not once. It's basically a chase the entire way through. I think that what lets the film down, basically, is expectations. They gave us high expectations and delivered nothing beyond those expectations outside of one cameo, really. Nothing else expands.
I had no chills. I had no going, oh my god. Like, I had no semi.
Well, yeah, okay, if you want to go that way about it. I did freak out. Patrick Stewart coming out to the classic X-Men theme song from the 90s. And, John Krasinski's Captain Fantastic. I'm not a massive fan of Fantastic Four, but he's there. Like, this is cool. But then let's say I missed what they were talking about when this was happening. So so I'm giving it a 6 because of how good a time I had. Like, I enjoyed watching it, and it looks lovely and all that stuff, and the music and all that was good in certain scenes. So we're pretty much bang average. We give it a 5. Split it between
There's
the two.
a lot of Elizabeth Olsen's feet in this, if you're into that, because
I didn't notice. Yeah, I didn't notice. Not that I am, but I'll keep an eye on it.
It should be like the size of your face.
Yeah, I get it. That's the thing.
Bigger than that.
She does float around a lot. I would definitely watch it again. There's some Marvel films where I'm like probably the first Doctor Strange. I would probably rather watch this again than watch the first Doctor Strange again.
Yeah, probably with you on that one. I didn't particularly like that one either. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's not my favorite, but yeah, a 5 is probably about right. I don't know how it would review again. It might get worse. I think literally this one hinges on the rest of the multiverse going forward, I think. Normally someone picks at this point, but next will be Jurassic Park. That will be the next episode. It'll be out in a few days. This one will be shoehorned in before Jurassic Park comes out. And that's all I really have to say. Chris will be back for Jurassic Park, for all the Chris fans out there. So stay tuned to all of the podcasts and YouTube feeds, and we'll see you next time for Jurassic Park on the 10 Point Podcast.